Well, my name is John Cotton. I spent 27 years in the Air Force, retired as a full colonel. Went through Reese Air Force Base pilot training in 63, class of 64H. First assignment out of that pilot training was back as a T-37 instructor pilot, because my old instructor was now a flight commander and wanted me in his flight. Oh my goodness. 4.5 years later, I finally got out of that assignment and into an F-100, where the DC Guard taught me how to fly the F-100C in Myrtle Beach. And then from there straight to Tuiwa for 151 F-100 missions. Flying out of Tuiwa in South Vietnam and Laos, and some in Cambodia toward the end of my tour. That was 1969 and 1970. After that, they assigned me to Lakenheath, RAF Lakenheath in England for 2 years, and then we downgraded to the F4 from the F-100 for the last 2 years of that tour at RAF Lakenheath. Probably the most unique thing about me and my F-100 assignments was that at Tuiwa, the first day I was there, I met this Donut Dolly who was working for the Red Cross. She had just reported to Vietnam, and I chased her all around the jungle for a whole year, and then we got married in Saigon a year later, and we're off to England for a 4-year honeymoon. And that's pretty much my F-100 days. Well, this is my Donut Dolly that I met in the summer, July of 1969 at the Officers Club at Tuiwa Air Base, Vietnam. And we both arrived on the same day. And when I went to breakfast, there was this Donut Dolly that was up at the piano, and she was playing classical music, and the rest was history.
I've been John's bride for 46 and over a half years. We're going to be married 47 years on July 6th. It was not easy getting married in Vietnam because the military made it very difficult for the GIs to marry Vietnamese women and bring them back to the United States. In order to get married, we had to go through the same rigmarole and all of the rules that a GI would have to do to bring home a Vietnamese wife. One of the more significant things was that we went down to Saigon several times. One of the times we had to post our bands on telephone poles in the area of the district of the man who was going to marry us, the councilman, the Vietnamese councilman. And if there were no objections, we could come back and be married the following week. Was it the following week?
10 days. 10 days later.
And so there we were. I was in my pinstripe Donut Dolly uniform, and John and I were tacking these notices in English, which the Vietnamese, of course, wouldn't understand, expressing our intentions. And provided there were no objections, then we could come back and be married by a Vietnamese councilman 10 days later, which is what we did.
It's kind of a good thing that she spoke French fluently, because with the French influence in Vietnam, there were a lot of dignitaries that spoke French, and she arranged this whole thing for us in French. I had no idea, absolutely no idea what was going on.
He told me that his Saigon ever were to fall, that the marriage was over, he was out of there, and here we're still married.
Well, I like her. That's
Well,
why.
I'm glad you do. I think he's pretty good too.
That was good.